Honorable Minister Vella, Abela, those are the ministers, okay. President Emeritus Dr. Ugumesu Bonnici and former Prime Minister Dr. Gonzi, Excellencies. Well, dear friends, dear young people from Italy and from Malta. Before I start my concluding remarks, I really would like to thank you, Ambassador De Vito and Madame De Vito, and also my foundation for taking up this initiative and making this commemoration really telling. I must also thank our young people from Italy and Malta for making this commemoration even more telling. And with the outcomes that we have, we hope that we have also quite a guideline on what we need to do. I must also welcome our religious leaders here. Thank you. Today marks a moment in our year to commemorate the children and mothers, fathers and sisters, brothers, sisters and grandparents, whose lives were ended in an act of evil that echoes throughout history. It marks a moment for us to honor and remember those millions of murdered human beings and those whose lives have been changed in far-reaching ways by the Holocaust. On this day, we honor the loss of victims and the resilience of survivors with renewed recognition of the value and the dignity of each person. Let us take this time to consider the responsibility placed on our shoulders. We must, in the witness of our lives, ensure that the memory of these atrocities is remembered. We must make sure that its ethical lessons are learned anew by each generation. We must respond with courage and resolve to ensure that the seeds of that hatred, which grew into such evil, are never allowed to take root in our societies again. We must protect the persecuted. We must speak out against bigotry and hatred. We must remember, and in remembering, we must be transformed. Genocide does not take place in isolation. It is part of a steady process that begins where discrimination, racism, xenophobia, and hatred are allowed to grow. The Holocaust and subsequent genocides took place because of an insidious silence that allowed persecution to build on momentum. While some were actively engaged in facilitating state policies of persecution, the vast majority stood idle, afraid to speak, indifferent to the suffering of others. And discrimination has not ended, nor have we heard the last of the language of hatred and exclusion. We often fail to stop these tragedies in time. Circumstances and historical particularities can do much to hide the underlying framework that initiates, supports, and develops violence in our societies. International Holocaust Memorial Day is more important and relevant than ever. It enables us to rally together, to recognize the workings of wickedness, to exercise vigilance, and to remind us of the need to replace strategies of exclusion with processes of peace. I now wish to address some remarks to the young people assembled here. You are our symbol of hope. It is your task to continue this great duty, to remember, to be watchful, to ensure that there will never be, in Europe or anywhere else in the world, another Auschwitz. You are the active citizens of today and tomorrow, with the great responsibility to interrupt cycles of hatred and violence and to replace them with a message of peace and well-being. Do not stand by. Do not be silent. Be better than we have been. I put my trust in you. Do not forget the past. Use education as your tool against ignorance and prejudice. Use your knowledge as a shield from the lies of extremists and opportunists. Make your own lives the promise of a better world. As European citizens, we are all responsible, both politicians and civil society, to make Europe an example of this better world, a reality where each citizen can contribute to the strengthening of fundamental human rights, the safeguarding of our natural world, and the mission of dialogue between cultures and between peoples. My Foundation for the Well-being of Society works tirelessly to ensure that bridges between communities are built, that the damage of violence is addressed, and that meaningful conversations can take place in a spirit of respect and dignity. Our work is challenging, but it is vital. We hope that you shall join us in our endeavors, working together towards one common goal. Today we are united in commemoration of all the victims of the Holocaust. Today we pledge to hold sacred in our memory the lives that were lost. And let today also offer us a promise to be resolute in our duty and to strive to achieve the peaceful transformation of our world. Thank you.